Now let's talk about the odontoblasts. Odontoblasts. What are these odontoblasts? Odontoblast, the principal cell of the dentin forming layer, is the first cell type encountered as the pulp is approached from the dentin. We can see this in figure 13. This is the figure 13 showing the pseudostratified appearance of odontoblasts. A dark horizontal line which is represented by arrow delineates the cell body from the odontoblastic processes and the predentin, and this line was once termed as the pulpodentinal membrane. Ultrastructural examination has shown this to be a terminal cell web that forms a support and attachment area between adjoining cells. These cells are derived from these cells arise from the peripheral mesenchymal cells of the dental papilla during tooth development and differentiate by acquiring the characteristic morphology of glycoprotein synthesis and secretion. You can see this in figure 14. This is the odontoblast as viewed under the electron microscope. You can see it will show the organelles essential for protein synthesis, especially glycoprotein synthesis. You can see a plump nucleus filled with euchromatin. Here plump means full and rounded in shape. A cytoplasm rich in rough endoplasmic reticulum indicated by R letter, and a well-developed Golgi apparatus which is indicated by a capital G. Right? The glycoprotein forms the predentin matrix that is rendered mineralizable by the odontoblast, which is a unique cell producing a unique tissue, that is dentin. Synthesizing and secretory activities render the odontoblast highly polarized, with synthesis occurring in the cell body and secretion from the odontoblastic process. The cell body contains organelles that represent different stages of secretion of collagen, glycoproteins, and calcium salts. Matrix secretion precedes mineralization, with these two events separated in time and space by the predentin. As happens in bones, the initial mineral sealing of predentin at the dentino-enamel junction is by the formation of matrix vesicles. Classic studies by Beilstock et al. Using an autoradiographic technique have demonstrated the functional sequence of matrix production and secretion. The functional sequence of matrix production and secretion. This material has recently been reviewed by Holland in histological sections viewed under a light microscope. Odontoblasts appear to vary from tall pseudostratified columnar cells in the coronal pulp to a single row of cuboidal cells in the radicular pulp to a flattened, almost squamous shape near the apex. These squamous shaped cells often form an irregular apatubular bending. The large nucleus is located in the base of the cell, ending in a pear-shaped appearance. From an exquisite scanning electron microscopy study, Investigators have demonstrated that the odontoblast cell bodies appear tightly packed in the pulp horn and successively pear-shaped, spindle-shaped, club-shaped, or globular from the crown to the apex. From the crown to the apex. During dentin formation in the crown, the odontoblasts are pushed inward to form the periphery of a pulp chamber. During dentin formation in the crown, the odontoblasts are pushed inward to form the periphery of a pulp chamber. A circumference that is increasingly smaller than the original circumference at the dentino-enamel junction. A circumference that is increasingly smaller than the original circumference at the dentino-enamel junction. This explains why the cells are packed and palisaded. Palisaded means arranged parallelly into a pseudo-stratified appearance of coronal odontoblasts. Conversely, because the space is not compressed in the radicular pulp, the odontoblasts maintain a columnar, cuboidal, or in the apical region you can see this squamous shape. Also, the resulting cell and the tubule density is much higher in the pulp chamber than in the root pulp. This increased tubule density in the chamber may explain the greater sensitivity and permeability of the dentin of the crown. The cell body manufactures the matrix material. The material is transported to and secreted from the odontoblastic process. Means synthesis occurs in the cell body and secretion occurs from the odontoblastic process. Classically, odontoblastic processes has been described as extending from the cell body to the dentino-enamel junction, a distance of 2 to 3 mm, which is the distance of 2 to 3 mm. This concept was based on the observations of many light microscopists using a variety of special procedures and stains. When dentin was examined by electron microscopy, the odontoblastic process was determined to be limited to the inner third of the dentin. The odontoblastic process was limited to the inner third of the dentin, with the outer two-thirds of the tubule devoid of processes or of nerves, but filled with extracellular fluid. That is nothing but your interstitial fluid or dentinal fluid. More recent investigations indicate that odontoblastic processes may indeed extend to the dentino-enamel junction. However, tubular structures in dentinal tubules are not necessarily odontoblastic processes. However, tubular structures in the dentinal tubules are not necessarily odontoblastic processes. Unequivocal identification can be done only by identifying a trilaminar plasma membrane around the putative process using transmission electron microscopy. The extent of the odontoblastic process remains controversial. Therefore, modern interpretations of pulpal injury following conservative cavity preparation may not be attributable to amputation of odontoblastic processes, but to desiccation, heat, and osmotic effects. Further, dentin sensitivity may not be related to direct stimulation of either odontoblastic processes or nerves in the peripheral dentin. Since the tubules may be devoid of such structures in the periphery of the dentin. After initial dentin formation, the odontoblast, via its process, can modify the dentin structure by producing a peritubular dentin. Peritubular dentin. This is a hypermineralized cuff with little organic matrix within the tubule, decreasing the diameter of the tubule. When stimulated, the odontoblast can accelerate. When stimulated, the odontoblast can accelerate retubular dentin formation to the point of complete occlusion of the tubule. When tubule occlusions extend over a large area, it is referred to as sclerotic dentin. When tubular occlusions occur over a large area, it is referred to as a sclerotic dentin, commonly found in teeth with cervical erosion. Alternatively, irritated odontoblasts can secrete collagen, amorphous material, or large crystals into the tubule lumen. These occlusions decrease dentin permeability to irritating substances. Although these secretions have been described as a defensive reaction by the odontoblast to protect itself and the underlying pulp, this protection has never been proven.